REI Co-op presents a mini mindfulness break. Take a deep breath in, picture yourself on a mountain. As you hold your breath, look down at your skis, freshly waxed thanks to your REI membership, carving through powder like a knife to warm butter. Breathe out slowly, let the air leave your lungs, like you'd leave your local co-op with all the gear, clothing, classes, and advice you could hope for. Make time to opt outside. REI.com.
Hey Atlanta, Apple is open for small business. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. With privacy and security built in on all devices, it's easy for you to protect your customers' data. And if you need hardware or software support, you'll get advice from business experts at no cost whatsoever. So you can focus more on the soup du jour and less on, the other stuff. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
This is the most bizarre question I think I've ever been asked in a Q&A. And this question, actually, I was going through the comments and it said sometimes it goes, I don't know if anybody else has this, but when you're a creator and you have quite a lot of comments, sometimes there's ones at the bottom which are like filtered for review. And whenever I click on these, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's a hate comment. Blazing throughout the auditorium is just the noise of me relieving myself on the toilet. That's not going to be good. Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, we're going to be doing a Q&A because there's a lot of you that are new to the podcast, so thank you for joining. And also, a lot of you, I actually said a few podcasts ago, because I am pre-recording a few podcasts, because when this one goes live, I'm going to be the other side of the world. Hence, if you're watching on Spotify, because we have video on Spotify, you might be able to see that my hair is shorter. So I have had a few of my hair extensions taken out. So this is the actual natural length that my hair is at the moment, to be honest with you guys. But I've had them taken out because basically for a whole 2 weeks, I'm going to be in the sun, in the heat. I'm going to be swimming loads. And I was like, you know what? Big chop, beginning of 2025, get rid of the hair. Don't worry, it will be coming back. I will probably have my hair extensions back in when I come back. But for now, you know what? I'm quite enjoying the short hair life. I feel like it's very similar to Molly May's short blonde hair. That's what I'm telling myself. It probably doesn't look as good, but I feel like it makes me feel older. I maybe look older. I feel very professional. I feel like a girl boss. Anyway, enough of hair chat. Before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. Red Post is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, and they also ship all over the world. And when this podcast is live, it will be the January or the winter sale for Red Post. So any extra bits that you need to get for your horses, for your country needs, for your dogs. I know there's a lot of dog lovers that like listening to the podcast. Go and check it out at Red Post. Get it before the deals are gone. Anyway, thank you to Red Post for sponsoring. Check them out at redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, let's get into today's episode, because a few podcasts ago, I asked you to leave me some questions in the comments, and you guys have sent me some really good questions, actually. Some that I haven't answered before, some of them are quite juicy, actually. So anyway, also in that podcast, if you have listened to, I think it was the one called Weird Christmas Traditions or Weird Holiday Traditions. If you listen to that episode, a lot of you actually said keep the tooth in the comments. If that's out of context, I apologise, you will have to go and listen to that episode. But also, that episode was in the charts on Spotify. We were number 6 in the whole of the UK. We were above Joe Rogan, so I'm pretty proud of that. Little Weird Horse Girl Country Life podcast is up there with the big boys. So thank you everybody for all of the love and support on the podcast. It's honestly one of my favourite things to do. But anyway, let's get started. Also, I hate to be that person, but if you could subscribe, rate it 5 stars, whatever you're supposed to do, whatever platform you're on, leave a little comment. It means a lot. And hopefully we can continue to be in the charts. Anyway, starting off, another thing that a lot of you said in the comments was you've noticed that on Spotify now we have new thumbnails. Well, I'm not sure if they're called thumbnails because that's what they're called on YouTube, but we have a new cover photo or album covers, whatever you want to call episode covers. Does that work? Yeah, episode covers. And I've made them for every episode. Every episode up until June last year. Actually, in a few months' time, it will be the podcast's 2-year anniversary, which is wild. And we're also slowly creeping up to episode number 100. So that means that we've done 100 weeks of podcast episodes. So I feel like we should do something exciting for that. So let me know in the comments what we should do to celebrate, because I feel like that's going to be quite a big thing. But starting off with the questions, what is my worst and my best filming experience? Oh, worse. There are some stories. There are some stories that I have. So if you're new, I have basically been a YouTuber for about 7 years, I would say, like as a full-time job, doing it for almost 10 years for funsies. Anyway, so I've been very lucky enough to film with lots of different people in lots of different places, including Olympic athletes, that kind of thing. So there have been some awkward times, awkward experiences, things where have gone wrong. I tell you what, having a video production company that works and films at horse shows where there are horses worth multi-millions, our business has got to have some good insurance. I was like, you never know, in case my dad drops a camera or something on a really expensive horse, that would be awful. Anyway, moving on. Oh, I'm trying to think of... Okay, this person, I will leave anonymous. But this is a very, very funny story. So we were doing some filming and this is... Of course, we were doing some filming and I was interviewing the other person. So often when I interview someone, I either use a handheld mic, if it's like a quick thing at a horse show where it's kind of like a microphone that like a singer would use. But if we're doing like a more like in-depth video with somebody, we will give them a microphone that kind of clips onto them, and then there's a bit of wire and you stick it in your pocket, that kind of thing. My dad is starting to smile because he knows which story I'm going to tell now. Oh, you don't know which one. I'm keeping this person anonymous because it's embarrassing on their front. But we're doing some filming, that kind of thing. This person, actually, I'm going to have to say it is a man because this would be quite difficult if the person was a person. Now he's realised what the story is. So this person, we're like doing some filming, was like, oh, I'm just going to go round the corner for a sec. And we're like, okay, maybe he's going to, go and grab something. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, my dad, who has the headphones attached to the camera, can hear, obviously, what we're doing, what we're saying. We weren't recording at the time, but because my dad was like, oh, Esme, I know where he's gone, quickly removes the headphones with a shocked facial expression. This guy had gone round the corner for a wee. So my dad just heard this, the zip undoing, and then this like tinkle. I think it took him a few seconds to be like, what's that noise? Oh, okay, I'm going to take the microphone off, because that actually kind of scares me now. I've been lucky enough to do like a few live events, talks, chats, and you are hooked up to this microphone before, and often, before you go out on stage and talk to thousands of people or hundreds of people. Going to the toilet is probably a good idea. Although, isn't there that phrase that it's good to have a full bladder when you're doing a speech? Maybe not. Maybe that's just an old wives' tale. But anyway, I always get so scared, and I don't want to unplug it, because then what if I go on stage, I don't plug it back in properly, and then suddenly, like, I'm just like, oh no, I've got no audio, nobody can hear what I'm saying. But then I'm like, oh my goodness, if I'm going to the toilet and they're listening, they're going to hear everything. Or even worse, if I go to the toilet and it's all, the microphone's hooked up and accidentally they do like a mic test, that kind of thing, and then blazing throughout the auditorium is just the noise of me relieving myself on the toilet, that's not going to be good. So I do have a little bit of a fear of that. It has not happened to me yet, but it did happen to somebody else. So maybe that's instilled that fear into me. So that was my worst filming experience, which actually isn't that bad. I mean, there's been times where, I don't know, there's been chaos with the horses, where, I don't know, just it's been like a bit wild, a bit hairy. There was one time, actually, I've just thought of it. My dad was filming an eventer on like a top, very expensive horse, and we were filming them go over a cross-country jump. And obviously, my dad has this thing where he feels invincible if he has a camera in front of him, because he's like, oh yeah, and he really gets into it. Like, hats off to him, he's great at his job. But I was scared for his life at one stage, because this horse went over a jump and then kicked out in the direction of my dad. Honestly, I think that hoof was millimeters away from the camera, and good thing he had the camera in front of his face, because I think my dad he's a horsey guy. He didn't grow up horsey, but I've made him horsey. He knows how to look after my horses, basically. So I think he just got a little bit blasé. I feel like people that aren't horsey, they're a little bit more cautious. They're like, oh, don't want to get kicked. Oh, don't get close. It's actually people who are horsey that get a little bit too, they're not cautious enough, maybe. So that happened. That was a close one where he almost got kicked, but it was all good. The horse is fine. The rider was like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. My dad was like, I'm so sorry, I got too close. Anyway, it was a funny time. There was also another time that I was doing cross country where I was going up to a jump. My dad obviously had not remembered the course. This was only training, don't worry. I've never actually competed in, oh no, I have competed once or twice in cross country, but that was a bit too scary for me. I'm more of a show jumper. But anyway, I was riding along and my dad was on the jump that I was going to do in my course, and I had to shout to him like, get off the jump, please. So he just hopped off and then I hopped over. But anyway, sorry, that was my worst filming experience. Now we're going to go on to best, which I've probably, this is the one I go on about loads. And it was actually quite a while ago now. It was back in 2022. I feel like I'm living my inner 2022 Esme at the moment because of my shorter hair. And then, yeah, that was when we went to South Africa and Botswana. We were on a reserve in Botswana the size of Wales, the country in the United Kingdom. So that was huge. And we were literally there just on our own because it was just after COVID. That was, number one, a proper adventure because we'd just been at home the whole time and then suddenly we're on the other side of the world. And then also it was a huge adventure because we just, hadn't been anywhere for a long time. And honestly, like, even if I'd done a lot of travel, like, Botswana was next level incredible. I've got so many videos on my channel of it where we were galloping along on horses, we were riding along and saw lions, we saw zebras, we saw giraffes, we saw so many baby elephants. Oh my goodness, there was one and it still had its umbilical cord. It was so young. It was honestly the cutest thing I've ever seen. And the one question I get asked so much about my trip to Botswana is, why did the lions not eat you or eat the horses? Because obviously they're kind of prey animals. And honestly, I had the same question before I went because I was like, zebras are very similar to horses. And do you know what the lions like to eat? Zebras. So actually, a lot of the time, when you're on top of the horse, the lions or the big cat don't really see you as prey because, number one, if you're with guides that are professionally trained to sort out a situation. They have, things that can keep us safe, but I'm not allowed to say what those things are because Spotify or whatever podcast platform you're listening to will probably be like, nope, she's talking about naughty things. Anyway, moving on. So anyway, we were protected. Don't worry. I felt safe the whole time as well. But also, we're often in like a big group, so if we're all together, and also when you're on top of a horse, you're a lot taller as well, so they often see the horse and the human as one being. Well, that's what they told me anyway. And yeah, but also, if you just halt, stand still, when there's a big cat, they're like, oh, wait a minute, this thing, I don't know what it is, this thing is not running away from me. It thinks it can take me on, and you know what? I'm not going to go up against this thing that thinks it can take me on. So what you have to do is just, if you see a big cat, it's just halt. Actually, to be fair, a lot of the time they were a lot more scared of us. And we were obviously with the whole film crew as well that was going along in a 4x4. So a lot of the time they were very scared of the big 4x4s. So we saw more big cat, honestly, when we were in the 4x4 going on a little drive around, seeing if we can find some, rather than actually on the horses. But everything else you could get so close up to on the horses because, you could go near the zebras, you can go near the giraffes, the elephants especially, because they have not very good eyesight. If you just stood still, then you could get really close up to the elephant. They have good sense of smell though, so a lot of the time you can see them kind of smelling around, seeing if they can smell you. They have big ears as well. They are very good at listening too. But anyway, that was incredible. Like sleeping under the stars as well. 10 out of 10. Would love to go back again at some stage. Was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Incredible. So lucky to go. So I would say, yeah, probably that has to be up there. And also I just love filming at home with the horses, like just being at home with my babies, doing fun things. So grateful. Even just hacking around and riding around where we are is so pretty. So I mean, that is, again, each day is a pinch me moment. But yeah, getting to just, be with my horses is probably one of my favourite moments too. Anyway, let's go back to my questions. Actually, I've just thought of one that I should probably answer, because so many of you have asked for an Alan update. If you're new to the podcast and you don't know who Alan is, I'll tell you a quick backstory. I think that I first started talking about Alan, I think it was the episode, if you want to hear more of Alan's backstory, I think that was the episode where I go to the King's Garden. Very different things. Okay, so Alan is a very creepy wooden doll thing that me and my boyfriend, who on the podcast we call him Batman, anyway, there's a long story behind that. Moving on. We found this like creepy doll and we showed my mum at this like kind of marketplace, and she was like, it was also a secondhand like vintage market. It wasn't some guy that like beautifully crafted this creepy looking doll and we were like, oh, that's so creepy in front of. Anyway, so we found him. And my mum was like, that's the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, for her birthday, we ended up wrapping it up and putting it in her birthday hamper. And then it became a joke where Alan has been to many different places. And if you listen to that podcast episode, you'll find out where Alan has been. So Alan has become an inside joke that in our family where we hide him in lots of different places. And my boyfriend over the winter has been working abroad. That's where I'm going, or that's where I am right now when you're listening to this episode. So we managed to send him in the post, and we got a little bit worried because he was like, oh, by the way, sometimes people get Christmas cards in August, and we thought, oh no, he's not even going to arrive my boyfriend's going to be back home, back in England, by the time Alan arrives. And I thought, oh, I should have put like an Apple AirTag or something in the box so we could have tracked him to where he was. And to be fair, it was quite expensive shipping it out there, but my mum was like, no, we've got to do it. Also, I don't know if this is, if I should say this or not, it's kind of personal, but my poor boyfriend, poor Batman, he lost his pants. He had them stolen while he's been working abroad. So apparently that is quite a common thing. Like, I was talking to a few friends that have done quite a bit of travel, and they're like, apparently underwear. And I felt really bad because when he told me this, I was proper laughing on FaceTime. Like, I thought that was so funny. And he was like, no, Ez, this is a serious situation because I've only got 4 pairs left. And I was like, oh no, the poor guy. He's going to have to do like washing every 4 days. Anyway, especially like, you know, if you need an emergency pair for whatever reason. Anyway, so you never know. Anyway, so we were like, okay, we need to send him a care package that included some pants. Oh yeah, when I say pants, I mean underwear for my American viewers. We got him some underpants. There we go. But anyway, so yes. So we got him some pants. We got him some coffee. And then we also hid in a surprise Alan. And we were like, oh my gosh. Like, we were like, also, if it never makes it to him, this is going to be so... like, whoever opens this package is going to be like so weirded out by this mishmash of things in this box. And also when my mum very kindly, she was running errands, so she took it to the post office for me, and she had to write down, especially when you like send something in the post, you have to write down what's inside the box, especially if it's to a foreign country. So she wrote down like coffee, underwear, and then she put him down as a Christmas decoration because we managed to get an elf on the shelf. We are going to be like cursed for this. My mum decapitated an elf on the shelf, or like some sort of Christmas elf thing, and put Alan in the Christmas outfit ready for him. So it did arrive in time for Christmas. So we were pretty shocked about that. And also we opened it up on FaceTime in front of my whole family to see Batman's reaction. So anyway, that was that. So that was quite funny. But yeah, sorry, back to the pants. I've never told you. Yeah, so apparently with pants, it's quite common to be stolen when you're traveling. So he hung them up to dry, thought that would all be fine, because people can steal your underwear and they can wear it and nobody will know because obviously it's under your clothes. Anyway, Batman must have had some really nice looking underwear. And then he turned to his roommate, his friend, and his friend was like, oh no, 2 of mine are missing as well. So there's some sort of underwear thief. So you best believe when I go out and see him, I'm going to be packing extra underwear for myself just in case. So anyway, that is the Alan update. But there's even more Alan updates actually, because Batman's BFF, best friend and roommate that he's been staying with while he's been working abroad, he's going over to the mainland to go and see his girlfriend. And what has Batman done? He has put it in his bag just before he leaves. So then we got a photo through via Batman from his friend being like, oh my gosh, he's followed me. Anyway, so that has been a funny little thing in our family that we've been laughing about. And I know that if there are going to be some people that's going to listen to this episode and they're like, Esme, what on earth? Why are you hiding a creepy doll in people's luggage and sending them places? But it's our family might be weird, but I tell you what, it's been very entertaining. It's been very entertaining because you never know when he's going to pop up. There's been lots of different stories of him. There's a lot of Alan lore that he's popped up in lots of different places. So if you go back and listen to some more episodes, you might find out where he's been hidden. Or actually, before we go on to the next question, I've just realised none of you know what Alan looks like. So he is kind of like this wooden bottle stop, and he looks kind of like a sailor man kind of thing. So I am going to put him up on screen on Spotify if you're watching, so you can see what Alan looks like. Prepare yourself. He is creepy. So he is going to go up in 3, 2, 1.
We're so done with New Year, New You. This year, it's more you on Bumble. More of you shamelessly sending playlists, especially that one filled with show tunes. More of you finding Geminis because you know you always like them. More of you dating with intention because you know what you want. And you know what? We love that for you. Someone else will too. Be more you this year and find them on Bumble.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Here is the creepy Alan. Okay, moving on before he gives you some before I don't know, he just is so creepy. I don't know who would create such a thing. Okay, back to the questions. We've definitely had a big Alan tangent. Anyway, moving on. Okay. What is my favorite horse that's not mine? Because obviously I'm going to pick my horses. They are my children. They are my babies. But I think, this is a toss-up between two different ones. The first one is going to be a horse called Sausage. She has an incredible backstory. She is actually one of the kind of stunt horses that they use at the Knights of Middle England, who are really good friends of mine. I've filmed lots of different fun videos with them, from horseback archery to side saddle to jousting to what else have I done? Liberty, lots of different stuff with them. We also did the filming for the Game of Thrones spin-off or Game of Thrones series House of the Dragon. We filmed a promo with them as well for Now TV and Sky. So anyway, Sausage, the horse Sausage, she has an incredible backstory. The reason why she's called Sausage is because she was originally on a truck going to basically be made into a sausage, which is really sad when you think about it. So anyway, they took her in, obviously for not much money at all, being like a meat horse basically, and they have trained her up, and she is now honestly one of the best horses that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing and riding. Like, she is incredible. She obviously, you know, been working in stunt TV. They also do a lot of stuff at Warwick Castle, doing all the like War of the Roses like live shows. And she is just honestly such a sweet, lovely mare. She is an incredible horse, and I'm gonna have to say Sausage is definitely up there. She is so lovely. Also, all of their horses there, like the way that they work with their horses and train them is just 10 out of 10. So anyway, I'd probably say Sausage, but also she was the horse that I did jousting on, which was very, very cool, I'm pretty sure. But then moving on, another horse that I've got to say that I've been able to ride that was incredible, I think has to be a horse called Dougie. He was when I rode at the Breens. Now when I rode him, he used to compete at Grand Prix level show jumping, like top level, and I had the pleasure of doing some grid work on him, and he is the horse that I've jumped the highest on, because a lot of you also asked that question. I think the jump ended up being like 1m30, 1m35. I didn't realise how big this jump was until I was over it, because they just put the last jump up when I was going around the corner, didn't see it, and honestly, the height of that jump, that was all down to the horse. All I had to do was hold on for dear life, and he did everything for me. Like, that horse, incredible, such a sweet horse as well. And yeah, so Dougie definitely has to be up there as well. But obviously, my horses are top. They're in my heart. They're in top level. No, I know everyone says this about their own horses, but my horses are the best. Anyway, moving on. Just in case, my horses listen to the podcast episode and they're like, oh my gosh, she's like not even talked about us. Anyway. I'll tell you what though, when there's like fireworks and things, I should do that when there's fireworks. Just put on my podcast, and then they're like, oh, my mum's here with me. Although if there is ever fireworks, then I do go and make sure that I'm with the horses just in case. If I could live anywhere, and I could transport all of my family, all of the horses and everything, where would I want to live is a question one of you asked. And honestly, this sounds really sad, but I really love England. I really love where I am in England as well, because I feel like I have the best of all worlds. I'm close enough to London that I can go there for the day. I can go and live my city girl life, especially when I'm very kindly invited to some cool things like work projects and stuff. I've found in the last year I've done quite a lot of stuff in London. But also, I love living in the countryside. The English countryside is so beautiful. And then I'm also quite near the coast as well, so I can go to the beach. So I feel like I have the best of three worlds. But I would say in the winter, it can be so cold and rainy and wet and horrible, and just so maybe somewhere like sunny for the winter would be nice. But then again, I think I would get bored of it being summer all the time. I do like my seasons. I love my autumn. I love my spring. Winter is a love-hate relationship. But I don't know. I just love England. If I couldn't live in England, I'd say Ireland. You guys are I love Ireland so much. Such a horse country. Everyone just, the countryside views out there, beautiful. So yeah, if it wasn't somewhere in England, then it would probably be Ireland. This is the most bizarre question I think I've ever been asked in a Q&A. And this question, actually, I was going through the comments and it said sometimes it goes, I don't know if anybody else has this, but when you're a creator and you have quite a lot of comments, sometimes there's ones at the bottom which are like filtered for review. And whenever I click on these, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's a hate comment. Sometimes it's, I don't know, some sort of like bot or some sort of weirdness or some sort of like click this link to get free money or I don't know, something ridiculous like that. But this person, I don't know if this person is a psychopath or if they just have a good sense of humour. Either way, I'm scared. They said, if there were no consequences and you could commit a crime, what crime would you commit? And I'm like, I am honestly the most scaredy cat person there is. Like, as a kid, I don't know if this is sad or not, but as a kid I used to cry every time like our teacher would be ill for whatever reason and our head teacher had to teach us instead, honestly, because I was so scared that they were gonna like be shouty at me. I hate getting in trouble. Like, as a kid, if I ever got in trouble, like I would be traumatized, and I'm just too much of a goody two shoes. I'm the sort of person when I drive past speed cameras, I drive like 5 miles per hour slower than I should, just in case. Like, I know you shouldn't do that, but like, honestly, I am petrified of getting in trouble. Like, I'm such goody two shoes. So the thought of like anything, honestly, like there's nothing out there where I'm like, you know what, I would love to do that illegal thing. Like, I'm too scared. But I guess if I had to say something, it would be somehow obtaining a large amount of money. Like, I wouldn't want to hurt anyone, you know. I don't have any enemies. Like, I'm just living my best life. There's nobody that, there's nothing like bad I'd want to do to anyone. But if for some reason I could, get a lot of cash from someone who's not going to miss it and give it to charity, then I'd probably do that if I had if I could do a crime with no consequences. So yeah, there we go. That's that's such. So yeah, if you have any more interesting questions like that, I'd love to hear more, because that, honestly, I was like, I'm gonna have to answer this one because it's the most bizarre. Like, most of the time I get asked like, which is my favorite horse, not as in like, actually that's the first time I've been asked which is my favorite horse that's not my own. I often get asked, out of the horses I own, which is my favorite, or like, how big have I jumped. Like, they're often like horsey kind of things. So I'm enjoying the podcast questions that are actually a little bit out there, a little bit different. Ooh. This is a funny one. Who is the weirdest person in your family? Well, I think I'm going to have to say I am pretty up there, especially as if I meet somebody new and I say, oh, hello, I am a number one, horse girl, and number two, who does social media as a living. They are, I feel like, in society, two very big red flags. And I don't want to be like here like, oh, boohoo, cry me because I'm a horse girl that does social media. I just want to put it out there, I'm in a very lucky position. I love what I do. But I do think, saying that, a lot of people have very weird preconceived ideas about me, because they either just riding horses in general, a lot of people often think that you're a rich, snobby, not very nice person, which I'm not gonna lie, I have met some people like that in the horse world, but I've also met some people like that aren't in the horse world. So anyway, so there's that, which try to break down the stigma. And then also, saying that you do social media, a lot of people kind of think like, oh, she doesn't work and she's living off daddy's money or something like that. And I'm like, no. My dad works for me. But no, I think a lot of people think that I'm just, I'm a businesswoman. I've been doing this a long time. I would say, I know there are a lot more jobs out there that are a lot more difficult than what I do, but I put the hours in. I would say I work pretty hard. So, especially, like, I find it so bad for poor Batman when he like is talking about me and he's got to like or even just my family, they're like, oh, what's your daughter doing, or that kind of thing, and they have to kind of, I have such a weird job, and them trying to explain what I do and that kind of thing. So, and also just myself, I like, this sounds really bad, but often I lie about what I do as a job. Like, if I'm in a taxi and they're like, oh, what do you do? I just say, oh, I work in marketing, because it's so much easier than to explain, oh, so I do social media, and then I started off on YouTube, and now I do like a little bit of everything, got podcasts as well. And then they're like, oh, how do you earn money from that? And I'm like, come on, mate, this has been a job for a little while now, like, catch up. Anyway, so sorry, that sounded really rude, I'm only joking. But sometimes I'm an introvert and sometimes I just like to keep myself to myself, especially if it's somebody that I'm never going to see again, like at the checkout at the supermarket. It's just, it's just easy. Sometimes I've got a friend, and every time she like talks to somebody random like that, like a person in a taxi, she just lies about her life, and she just says like, oh yeah, like I'm an artist and I study fine art, or like she'll just like come up with something random, and I'm like, I could not do that. I am not a liar. I cannot lie. I have no poker face. If I'm trying to hold in a secret, you best believe I'm laughing and I'm smiling, and you're like, girl, there is something up, you need to tell me right now. If it's somebody else's secret, then I'm very good at keeping that, but if it's my secret, oh, I have no poker face. I'm awful. So anyway, moving. Oh yeah, so yeah, I would say I'm probably the weirdest person in the family, or I'd say my mum might be up there. Not because actually we're all very weird. I feel like weirdness is, everyone has a different opinion on what's weird. I'd say my mum is the sort of person where, because of the job that she does, she sees so many people from so many different backgrounds, so many different stages of life, that you could talk to her and she wouldn't find you weird. You could talk about honestly anything and she'd be like, sounds cool, tell me more. So I would say maybe a toss up between me and my mum. I think we're all weird in all our different ways, Okay, another person asked, what is your top 3 favourite songs at the moment? Oh, that's a really tricky one. I would say, because it depends on your mood. So I'm going to do 3 that are very different vibes. I'd say top song that just helps me get going in the morning, feel motivated. I don't know what it is. Noah Khan, False Confidence. That song, there's something about it, just tickles my ears. And that sounds really weird, but you know what I mean? I love that one. Also, Oh Wonder, they do really good chilled upbeat albums. My dad and I, we listen to them a lot on our road trip journeys for work. So I'm probably gonna have to say Landslide. That's a really good one. And then, number 3, for third place. That's a really tricky one. I do love a good bit of. I'm a folky girl. I love folk music. So maybe something from the Lumineers. They're quite good. Or maybe something from Mumford and Sons. A little bit of a throwback. My dad and I, we used to listen to a lot of Mumford and Sons when we used to like we pull in the trailer to some sort of like horsey show or event, that kind of thing. So just for the throwback, I'm gonna have to say maybe a Mumford and Sons song. Okay, that was kind of answered. Top 3. I also love my girly pop as well. There might have to be a Taylor Swift song in there, and Sabrina Carpenter and all that kind of stuff. Oh, it's too tricky. You can't just pick 3. Anyway, moving on. That's the best you're gonna get, okay, for that one. I feel like music taste is such a personal thing. There'll be some people listening to them like, Esme, that is awful. Why do you like listening to that? And I'm like, it's just what my ears like. You can't control it. What is your top life hack for the stables? Mine would probably be, in the winter, put baby oil on your horse's legs. Obviously, make sure your horse's legs are clean. Put baby oil on them, and then the mud brushes off so much easier and washes off so much easier, because obviously oil and water causes the kind of like a barrier. So baby oil horse's legs sounds random, but it's great. What else do I have that's like, I don't know, because when I feel like life hacks are such a weird thing, because when you do them all the time, they don't really seem like a hack. It's just like an integral part of your life. And then the last question is, now you have reached 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Also, thank you again for 1 million subscribers. That is wild. But anyway, now you've reached 1 million subscribers on YouTube. What is your plan with the channel / what are your plans for 2025 with videos? So, I feel like there is a lot that I'm feeling in that like January motivated, have lots of ideas, doing a lot of planning mode at the moment. And of course, I'm still going to be making horsey content, don't worry. I'm still going to be making content about the cottage, living in the countryside. I want to do a lot more like vlogs and vlogging, because that's something that I found in 2024 that I really, really enjoyed. Something that I was really looking forward to. And also something that you guys seem to love as well, especially as I've kind of grown up on social media. I'm older now, and there are definitely like, I don't know, slightly different content that I really want to make. Also, I would love to do more content in 2025 with animals as well as just horses. So I don't know, I've got a few things planned with some conservation, eco, wildlife in the UK charities that I would love to film at, especially with rehabilitation, and then introducing those animals back into the wild. Oh my gosh, like that kind of stuff I think would be really interesting, because if you like horses, then you're probably going to like all animals. And also I want to try and get more people to, number one, watch my content, but also number two, to like hear about the horse world in a positive light, because that's not always been the case. Yikes. Anyway, moving on. But you know what I mean. So, and I want to try and get more people into the sport of horses, because it's incredible. And you guys know there's a lot of equestrian riding schools and charities that I work with. So I want to try and, the dream overall is to make horse riding more accessible, but also I want more people who are interested in horses and animals and things watching the channel. So I have lots of fun ideas, and maybe some more animals coming to the channel at some stage. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it brief, because everything's a little bit up in the air, but I have some ideas and hopefully they go well. But yes, I just want to say thank you everybody for all of the questions, because there were so many. I don't think I was able to answer all of them in today's podcast episode, but hopefully I will be doing more Q&As in the future, so look out for them. Go and check out my socials, because that's where I'll probably put up some more question box. And yeah, leave me a little comment down below if you have any other questions. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. Thank you to Red Post for sponsoring the podcast. They're awesome. Go and check them out. Go and check out their sale while it's still on. Be there or be square. Anyway, and yeah, thank you for listening. If you could like it, rate it, all those kind of things, that would be incredible. And I'll see you all next time. See ya. Bye.